part 2. Thanks for tuning in.
It was empowering.
To wear Anubis's cloak, to live in Anubis's cloak, to be Anubis. Yeah, it was empowering, and yeah, it was a little rough, but there's not a lot of physicality going on with Anubis, as you've noticed. You know what I mean? There's maybe a little movement and a little, but not a lot of, So, yeah, it was awkward, but not really,
Well, that kind of leads into my next one. My friend Brian in Canada, he asked, what inspiration did you use to help create the character of Anubis?
Well, definitely inspired by, first and foremost, what was before me, right? Which is the Anubis of of all of the other episodes previous to mine. And the reveal, the inspiration was, that's hard to say, because I shared with Peter DeLuise, who had directed it, and I shared with him just very briefly, what I was kind of thinking about over a little coffee, and he was like, "Well, just relax, and we'll we'll have some fun," which was really the coolest part about being on that set. It was so relaxing, so much fun, so cool, and everybody was just, look, we're telling a story. It's a good story, and we're having some fun. So have some fun, and let's do that. And that's exactly what we did. So in the creation of the character, in that being the face, and it was all being done in the for me at the time, I took everything from Anubis that I'd seen previous, the 8 seasons previous, and then I saw this makeup character that was being made up. It's hard to sort of explain, but maybe hopefully it's intriguing or entertaining to watch. Is that we're I'm watching in the makeup trailer, and this guy's putting these things on, and we're talking, of course, and even at the same time we were doing a behind the scenes video of the application of the makeup.
Oh, the prosthetics.
Yeah, the prosthetics. It's in the DVD, I believe, of season 8. Anyhow, it's the behind the scenes DVD, and we're doing that at the same time. And as I'm revealing this character every time, and any time that they fitted me for anything, because they had to with my eyes, they had to put on contact lenses, but not just contact lenses to cover, but full eye contact lenses, like almost, they're big, and they had to put them in and everything, and we had to fit them, and so they came to my home and fitted. And at that time, they showed me a few other ones, like with these very interesting eyes, because the possibilities of what eyes I could have, right? This is the first reveal. I could have cat's eyes. I could have like in the eyeball, right? And so in this case, it was a very, as you can see, it's very, very bloodshot red and accentuating the eyes I've already got. That was a big part of building. But when it came to the character and bringing the character all together with the face and the makeup and the hood and the times previous to me, and then just
sitting in front of
it's kind of easy, right?
Well, James, it's funny. I swear it's crazy. These fans are asking these questions, and they're just flowing so naturally. Good. And these have all been compiled for weeks of, But James asked. He posted 4 questions.
Okay.
What do you like most, or what do you like about the most playing a villain? So I think we were kind of leading that way already.
Yeah, we were, right? Because man. The inhibitions are the ones that we put on ourselves. So there are no inhibitions in a villain. There are, of course, the restraints of gravity, right, or the laws of the universe, but there's no moral restraint, right? There's no obligation. There's so much in what one can do, because the bad guy's never a bad guy to, at least when I'm playing a bad guy, I don't think of myself as a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good guy. I can justify everything, movement, reasoning as to what my character and why my character's doing it. And they're honest and good. As far as my moral compass is concerned, right? And so that's the restraint that you don't have. That's what I love about it, most of all.
Okay, well, did you ever feel like you were being typecast from playing the role of Anubis? So were you ever, I guess, being typecast as a bad guy? Was that something that you didn't mind or something that you wanted to explore?
I don't know if it's so much being typecast by that degree, but I get to the question. Yes, I did have the door open up, right, to the villain, the full-on villain, with that, with Anubis, with the makeup, with the prosthetics and the contact lenses and the voice and the presence. Yes, the door was open, but not closed to the other things, because of the ability to, as you can see, shed that prosthetic and shed that, and maybe, in this case, grow whatever this is on my chin, and I can do something else with this, right? So not so much typecast or stuck in that mold, but just available for it. Yeah, where it wasn't before. I was always kind of the hero.
Well, you talked about the inhibitions. I mean, we even saw that in other episodes like Window of Opportunity where, Jack and Tilk are in the time loop, and they got to the point where he's like, well, there's no consequences. I can do whatever I want. So whether it was riding the bicycle or playing golf, and some of our favorite scenes from that.
Excuse me, George. Colonel, what are you doing out of uniform? Handing you my resignation.
Resigning? What for?
So I can do this.
You just lose all inhibitions, plus being an actor, to dive in, whether you're a method actor like, Johnny Depp or some of these guys that you just completely become different people and almost unrecognizable as themselves. I mean, Jama also asked, what actor had inspired you the most in your chosen profession?
Wow, that's a deep question, or at least for me, it's a deep answer. There isn't just one. It's an amalgamation of several, and I do this because I really love it. It's not been an easy journey. I don't think any actor will say it has been for them, but it's certainly, in my case, it's been worth it. I'm introspective. I'm open. I'm a whole bunch of conflicts. Do you know what I mean? Of the universe and the acting thing. As far as the inspiration, the actors, the ones who did it, I can break it down to to my generation. I can break it down to the first one. Like I know them all, but it comes down to an amalgamation of a guy that's Spencer Tracy and Paul Newman and Jimmy Stewart. Those were the guys. Those were my inspirations. Those were, and then from there it was superstars of the Marlon Brandos, and then now in the right now it's Sean Penn. It's those guys.
Those are some big shoes to fill.
I would never assume that I would fill them, but they inspire me to. They set, like I said before about a bar being set, they set the bar, and it's, I'm happy. Let's do it, right? That's where I'm at as far as, I'm just so proud of that experience having been recorded and put together and being a path that's been made for me and for everyone, really. He just has the courage to take it. I'll take it. Thank you, and thank you for paving the way a bit. You know.
Well, that was something I said to Joe Flanagan at a con back in, it was about 2007. There was a open mic question thing, and it's in one of my previous videos where he was punking me on stage. But no, I was telling him, SG-1 set that bar so high. So for them to come in with this whole other cast and basically almost compete, Atlantis swept right in there, and they had to, they had to reach that bar pretty quick, or they weren't going to make it, and it was a different style show. Not everybody loved Atlantis, and other people liked Atlantis better, but it was
exceptionally cast, and the talent that's on any of the Stargates, whether it's SG-1, whether it's Atlantis, whether it's Universe, the talent on those stages are amazing, and I'm sounding like I'm ringing my own bell now, because I was part of that, it's an amazing group of people, and yeah, I like that you guys are so hip to it, are so, appreciative of the love and the heart and the ingenuity. There's like these guys, these producers, right? They put together, they brought real scientists into this. Do you know what I mean? Like this, they weren't fooling around. It's lovely stuff, man. Yeah, so you guys appreciate it, and that's the cool stuff.
Well, and I definitely want to thank James for his questions. These are some great questions. His last one, and then leading right into this type of stuff, what would be the role of a lifetime for you to play? So you talked about some of your mentors and inspiration, people that inspired you as an actor. What would be the role you would love to play if there was anything that you could do?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be selfish, and much like a genie, I will take 3 because I have 3. That way, they're achievable, right? But here we go. You ready? Yeah. I want to play Humphrey Bogart, the life and times of Humphrey Bogart. I want to play the life and times of Frank Sinatra, and I want to play the life and times of Elvis Presley. You pick one of those, that would be my dream role. Yeah, one of those 3, I can do them all.
That's awesome. That's
yeah, awesome. Right? Wouldn't that be great? And it goes like this. It goes, Daddy, I remember when I was 4 years old, you took me to service. You bumped into somebody by accident. He turned around. He socked you right in the mouth. What'd you do? Nothing. Thanks so much. You got it done. You got to swing back. You go back to school. I'm going out to make a buck. As Elvis Presley in King Creole. Yeah.
He was a cool guy.
He was, and he got a bad rap too, He wasn't the racist and all that everyone's giving him a hard time with right now. He didn't just steal rock and roll, He, and he had the conflicts that everybody has as an artist. What do I do? It's my spotlight, and I need to shine. And he didn't appropriate anything. I think he highlighted it, but of course these are all opinions, right? Everyone's got one.
Well, Sam asked a question. We kind of touched on this, so I don't want to skip over it, but he's a really young Stargate fan. This kid's, he's still in high school, so it's amazing in this fandom, the people that get sucked into it. And the series has been off the air for 10 plus years, and there's still these kids in high school that, that shows the production value.
This is exactly what I was just speaking of, and you just hit it. It's a very specific word, the production value. Yeah, everything on that screen is just immaculate. From wardrobe to props to everything, lighting, and everything is immaculate. And then you've got these amazing directors and this amazing talented cast. How can you go wrong? I mean, really, So yeah, and they didn't go wrong. They did great. We did great. Yeah.
Well,
Not
you've
over.
got to have that combination. You've got to have all those checks on the block.
Yes, sir.
For you to look good. It doesn't matter, and we've seen this in bad movies. You can have the best actor in the world. You can have a Will Smith or,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, any of those top headliners, you know, and if that production value isn't there, that movie's still going to tank if there's a bad script or bad directing or bad camera work or you've got to have that perfect formula. And I think that's one thing that Stargate always, again, we're talking about meeting that bar, was making sure that they had all those checks in the block, But Sam asked, was it really you under the hood, or did you just do some voice acting? So, I mean, we pretty much covered that David did most of the hood acting, but, you did have your turn with the hood.
The way that we're looking at it now is that, I'm not trying to take away anything from the other players that were Anubis, and they were. But I am the physical incarnation. The once you see that deteriorated, the first reveal, that's me, right? So I'm the human Anubis. How's that?
There you go. Yeah, and we all love George too. I mean, if you go back to the diner scenes, and his interactions with Mike, and it just, the whole diner thing was great, and that drug on, for a little bit, and we were just like, what is this, and then when we did get that reveal as well, that he was
we don't want to take away from anybody else who's done what they've done, but just that is my Stargate appearance was just on the Reckoning.
All right, this one's a little in depth, and Kimberly Owings ask him how he got off the planet he got sent to, where he was frozen solid inside the Russian officer, please. Man, I'd have to go back and I don't know if you can remember.
I wish I could. What I can say is that my sister's name is Kimberly as well. I don't know that. Yeah, the storyline that it's like I had said before, is very, very in depth, and has there's been a lot of, whether it's real scientists or real, all of that research and that development has gone into the writing of these stories and these storylines. And so for me to give you any false narrative or not know, is once again disingenuous. So I don't know, but I bet you Stitch over there has got some
I'd have to go back and watch that one. That one's been a while. It'd take me a few to even find out which episode it was. So there wasn't that many with the Russian officers, and I kind of briefly remember it, but the whole
I sure appreciate
solid thing is slipping my mind. So we'll have to research that one and maybe come back to that one. Krista White, ask him, what was it like wearing all the prosthetics, and did you get really hot on set wearing all those heavy dark robes, or did they have the set colder for you?
That's a really good question. Yes, they did. They had it a lot cooler for us because both Cliff and I are wearing clothing that's quite doesn't breathe a lot. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of, and like, don't get me wrong, my costume was silk and cotton and amazing. It was silk and linen, and I think there was a lot of leather there in the boots and things like that. So yes, it didn't breathe a lot. They did bring the air conditioning in as far as the set was concerned. This is in the throne room. We had big pillars of fire in there, and so it got quite warm. And then we had the lights and everything. So yeah, air conditioning or not, you're going to get hot. And I have to say, mine wasn't as cumbersome as I've seen, other actors, friends of mine who played, like Alex Zahara. He's played several other characters on Stargate SG-1, with lots of prosthetics on. So I wasn't, to that degree. Alex did a lot of work and whole face stuff that I think, So I got off pretty good. Yeah, mine was pretty easy. It wasn't so, you know what I mean? Like, it was only kind of down near the bottom that I was sort of restricted, and everything else was kind of okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, did Val Haverson design your costume, or do you remember? Do you have any? How much interaction did you have with costume?
It was a really nice lady. I'm sorry if I'm awful with names, but she was very, very specific and very for an eye for the costume specifically. It had very little to do with the the man inside. She was really cool. In fact, she made it easy and took lots of photographs. So I believe this was Val, but I can't say names. Like I said.
Actually, she's one I really want to try to do an interview with.
Yeah,
I messaged her on like Instagram, but I don't think she's seen it. So she's kind of hard to get a hold of. I might have to talk to Joe or somebody that can get me in touch.
More appreciation for the stitch, if you will, right? Yeah, man, I get you. Yeah.
All right, Nina. Was he a fan of Stargate before he played Anubis? Great question, Nina. Thank you.
No, I wasn't. I didn't know where to watch it. To be honest. And it wasn't until after I had been contacted to do the audition that I had researched it, and then So once I did that, because I didn't know where it was, and I found it on Showcase eventually, I think. We're up here in Canada, so it was just a little weird, right? It wasn't on the Sci-Fi Channel like you would expect. I think it was Showcase. Any case, I couldn't find it. I started watching, and then after I appeared, I watched continually. It seemed that it kind of kept popping up on my television. And after a while, I couldn't stop watching. So, yeah, I guess you could say I was a fan, but I don't know. That's kind of cheesy. Yeah, you know what I mean? But because I'm watching my friends. I mean, I know Peter, I know Cliff, and I know, do you know what I mean? And now I know RD8 and Amanda, and it's like I can't stop. I still watch to this day. You know what I mean? It's on reruns all the time. I watch all the time.
Well, it's addicting. It really is. I think once you get sucked into this entire universe and premise, you know,
yeah.
And I think that's why the fans have stuck around. You know, I joke around that, you know, there was a meme going around for a while, and I'll throw it up here, but it's just, you know, people are starving for more Stargate. But, you know, these questions are crazy. Next question, literally, from Allison. Ask him what it was like to work with Richard Dean Anderson. I mean, this
kids match, right? And to answer that question honestly, not having worked with him on screen in Reckoning is but I still had and have worked with him ever since. And a lot of that has in recent years has been in conventions. I love that guy. I mentor that guy. You know, I keep telling myself, and I told him, I'm like, yeah, Richard, I'm old. You know, he's like, Dean, you're not old. He's just such a lovely man, and you know, has a daughter like you and I, right? And then the charities that he's been a part of, and who he is, and with going up to the north, and then his work with Sea Shepherd, and yeah, he's a pal, and someone that I would like if there was a model of what a good man is, and I think that he kind of is the model of that. He's a good man, and I really love him. Yeah, is that silly?
Nah, I mean, and like you and I talked about, I try to do some charity stuff, whether it's the breast cancer Zat I did a few years ago, or the one I gave to Amanda to auction off for Sanctuary for Kids. And, you know, but I recently, when I was out in Rhode Island, I talked to Paul Brown, and I've been kicking this one around for a while, but I want to do a Sea Shepherd Zat gun and then let Rick auction that off at one of the charity galas or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So that's something it's tough painting in the winter here because it does get so cold and it makes it drag out, So I either got to heat up a room that I can stand paint fumes in, or I prefer painting in the summertime. So even customers sometimes have to wait for some of those summertime paint jobs for me. But yeah, we're definitely.
I'm going to interrupt you because I'm loving all this stuff I'm seeing behind you here. all of your stuff, man. Like, and what are those little guys up on the top shelf?
Top shelf. Yeah, I got a bunch of action figures on the wall. Some of my favorite ones I've collected over the years, and of course my Raw pendant that Mark and that's actually the one from the stunt pendant I got back from Origin, so that's actually screen used. And then that's my picture from Barry Campbell when he was up at the Arctic Ice Camp when they did the Continuum stuff. But
this is an angle I haven't seen before. I'm sorry if I interrupted, but I was like, hey man, is that little stuff up there? Is there a Anubis up there?
Oh, I got so much stuff in these cases and stuff.
Okay.
It's crazy. All right. Well, Tamara asked, what was the reason you got into acting? We can get into some deeper questions.
Okay. Straight up. Yeah, I can get definitely into this one. I would wake up. I've written it down. It's a little short film that I wrote down, and it's about why I do this. When I was little, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I would have nightmares. And when I was little, I would always just jump into my mom and dad's bed, and then I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be in my own bed. But as I grew up, I'm maybe 7 or 8. I would pop out down the hallway, and my dad would be out there watching old movies. And he'd have a blanket and popcorn, and he'd be sitting out there. And, I kind of pop my head around, and I was scared because I was, I just had a nightmare. And he'd give me the biggest, brightest smile, and he'd make a place for me to sit. And, he'd give me the popcorn, and we'd watch, all those guys that I was just telling you about, Spencer Tracy and Montgomery Clift. And all those guys, and and Humphrey Bogart specifically, and I got just enamored by that. And then it was like this comfort that I was given. And then my dad passed away when I was 10, and I'd already decided that I was going to be an actor before that. When I was just 5 and 6 and 7, and saw these guys on the screen, and and my dad and me, and so yeah, in a nutshell, it's that moment, that feeling, and I've been given that love reciprocated, that I was given when I was little, and I hope I keep sharing the same, back to the audience. That time when my dad had passed, I needed to feel, to sort of grieve, and it was hard to grieve in my family environment because I'm the youngest of 4, because I love my family so much, my sisters and my brother. I didn't want them to grieve, and I didn't want them to be sad, so I would try and be funny and whatnot during the day. But at night, I'd wake up after a nightmare or something, and I'd go down the hallway, and I'd sit down and watch the movies myself, and I watched those guys without my dad. It made me feel better. And so that's why I do it. Because in that moment, I needed to feel better. And so to get that opportunity to even just get an audition that says, okay, you get to be a part of the story. You get to maybe be an integral part of the story. You get to, give us a shot. See if you can do it.
No, that's awesome. Just to see your passion, dedication, Dean. I really appreciate you sharing that stuff. And
oh man, it's an honor, really. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Well, it's cool to hear, what drives people, and and Kelly had some amazing stories, and how she turned her life around after, things got a little rough. And we're all human. We all go through things that, whether you're some famous person on TV that people put up on a pedestal for whatever reason, or you're just the guy down the street that, makes costumes in his basement. We all go through stuff, but I really appreciate you sharing this type of stuff. But
hey, I'm honored too, and to be asked the question is also an honor. She's taken the time to ask the question, and yeah, I guess I can really honor that by answering it with my whole heart, and just be really honest about it, because I got nothing to hide and all that. It's really the only thing that I have any apology for is my ambition. I'm very ambitious. I want to be on TV and in the movies all day, every day.
Well, Jaron asked, how were you approached to play the role of Anubis? I mean, obviously, probably through an agent, or you got that phone call. But tell us about that. What was that like to get that phone call and not being familiar with SG-1, and
Right.
that being on Showtime, and you're not really sure what this role's all about, and
I didn't have like the greatest relationship with the casting community, in the sense of that I wasn't being seen a lot specifically for Stargate. It was the first and only time that I had been seen for a character in Stargate. Yeah, and this is for 8 years previous. And it was, I think it was a man who I just really, he's a great guy. His name is Sean Cossey. He's now a cast director, still working in town. Cast for lots of stuff. He was the assistant, and he had asked for me to come in. And so it was Sean who held the audition with me, and he, previous to the audition, had given my agent the information that was necessary, that this was an established character, that I should do my research, and in fact, doing all of the homework that any actor, I think, should do, that he gave me more incentive. He gave me more drive to look deeper into the Stargate, all that anthology, everything that was going on in there. Anubis is a little bit of he's kind of the puppet master of it all, and seeing it all is, I didn't feel as if there was a lot of weight on my shoulders. You know how you put weight on your shoulders? Yeah, I didn't feel like, it wasn't, I just thought, okay, he's already here. I saw, the hooded character, and then got this insight from Sean Cossey. And he's like, look, it's established. It's this guy. Now, you've got a shot. Take it, or you don't. I believe in you. Let's see. And really, yeah, and almost verbatim is kind of how it went. He just said, I believe in you, and you can do this. And it wasn't like he was, he was, because there's 6 other guys out there, right? In Norway. He believed in them, I'm sure, as well.
so you literally had to compete against 6 other guys for the face of Anubis.
Yes, sir. Yes. And in every other character and role that we all go up for, yeah. There's a minimum of 6. And max, sometimes I'll have 10, 15 guys.
Jaron also asked, what was your most difficult scene to do? once you were cast?
Well, I mean, thanks for asking that question, because it's funny. Peter's such a gem. Peter DeLuise directed this, and Peter DeLuise, he goes, okay, bring in special effects. So right, there's this. He pulls out this ball, and of course Peter doesn't have it. It's this round, almost mirror, right? And so it's got like the 3 dimensions of the whole room. It's this round ball, and he's holding it up like this, and it's a mirror, right? And I'm like, okay, well, that's really cool, right? Now, I have to stay acting as I was with this round, and Peter, of course, still making fun of the thing. He's trying to crack us up while we're doing it, and I'm still like, in frame while this, and because the special effect is going to happen, right? And so what happens is my the whole body, the whole spirit, comes out of Anubis and goes into this round. Goes into the special effects ball, and then the ball goes, and then I've got to fall away. Well, it wasn't. The challenge was to stay not laughing every time Peter's trying to make fun of. So it was. I think if there was a challenge, it's to not laugh when you're being directed by Peter DeLuise, because we're having such a fun time. That was the challenge. Yeah.
He also asked, was there ever a time when some of the lines, weren't good? I don't think that's probably happened, but where the script wasn't finished or you had to do some improv. I think most of I've heard recently from some of my contacts in Hollywood that some of this new thing is, and the reason they're having trouble with some of these movies, I mean, even big production movies, they're literally start shooting before the script's finished. And I can't wrap my brain around that, but I don't think that was anything that Stargate would have ever even tried to do. I mean, unless they were doing something with Rick and they allowed him to just do some improv or whatever, and they knew that that was something that he did often or something like that. But to go into a production and not have a finished script, I can't wrap my brain around that. And I'm hearing that is something that's becoming more and more common with some of these younger directors. And I really struggle with that. I mean, how do you go into something that big without a plan and just wing it, shoot from the hip?
Right. Well, I did that once at a convention, and it didn't go well. They asked us, they said, okay, well, we want to know what you're all wearing, what kind of underwear you're wearing. I wasn't wearing any underwear, so no, that's not good. It's much like that. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to go into, and I can't speak for others. I'm open to spontaneity. I'm open to that, right, to those moments. But there needs to be a structure, at least, it's like a jungle gym when you're little, right? And you climb up on this jungle gym, and, well, how can you have fun? Well, it's all directed there by that jungle gym. But your fun is your own, right? It's up to us. And by that same degree, we have the structure of the story, the jungle gym, and we as players can play on the jungle gym. So yes, we do have sometimes, in some instances, moments where we might be able to share something of our own, a improv, if you will, right? But first we have to do the what's written. And then we get maybe one take for you and one take for you. And, but it's all about, certainly for me, story. Story is so important. And with the professionals that we had on Stargate SG-1, and the writers, the creators, and then also the actors and producers, there wasn't really a lot of, number one, there wasn't a lot of bad dialogue. I didn't recognize any of it, certainly anything that I said. And there wasn't any sort of like accepting way good things. I'm trying not to swear. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, yeah. And you can't, it's like if you're going to get onto, I'm trying not to swear again. My grandmother would say, look, if you're going to change the light bulb, make sure it's burnt out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, have that plan. Have
yeah,
and being military, I mean, we didn't
there you
go into there was always, you had to troubleshoot, you had to order parts, you had to know what you don't just dive into something and have no idea what you're doing. You got to have the experience, you got to have the training, you got to have the tools.
And the big thing for me is that, script and text is one of the most important things, because I'm challenged by a learning disability, which is dyslexia, and so words and letters and things are they take a shape unto themselves. They're communication devices, and I have to interpret every time it's written down what it is and does it. So it's a real weird way. Because I'm older, dyslexia wasn't diagnosed in me until I was much older. And so I just kind of, like you said, I just winged it. I didn't know. But every word is so important that it's like you hang on every one. I find myself obsessed with the right words when I'm acting. Because if I'm not saying the right words, then I believe I'm doing disservice to the writer. And then in turn to the story, and then in turn to my role, right? And so I feel the weight of that. And that's why, I work hard on the text to memorize it. And please, yell cut if I say the wrong word, or, please stop me, and give me the right word. But, any time that there is a wrong word or a misgiving, or it's only for those reasons that it's just that, just trying to catch up, just trying to use the right words to, communicate that. Yeah. So
what was your favorite episode? I mean, obviously it would probably have been Reckoning, as far as anything that you played in, but what was there a particular episode of SG-1 that really sticks out as your favorite?
Not completely. There's a friend of mine. You would recognize him he was from the very first film as well. His name is Eric Avari.
Right.
Very nice man. And I saw him, I think, in another episode, and I watched that. It was like a television episode, and I'd watched that, I believe, but that was the only one that I started really clocked in with me, because I know Eric, and yeah,
Eric and Alex got brought back for those those Abydos type scenes.
That's right.
I think it was season 7. I'm gonna box myself into a corner here, but I'll have to look that up.
And like I say, I may have gone back and looked back, because I hadn't seen it, and I hadn't met Eric until I think it was 2005 that I had met Eric.
I did have one person from the UK. I'm going to butcher this screen name. Plattshoe. I apologize. I have no idea how to say this. But he asked, has he minded that he could not reprise his Anubis role in Threads, which we talked about earlier, played by George in the diner scene. But I think, like we talked about, you were fine just being part of that team, even though Anubis had been played by, basically 3 different individuals, you were just a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Of course, everyone goes, oh, what happened? Oh, no, did I do something? This has been, and I'm talking about the family of Stargate, Brad and Peter and everybody involved. They just make you feel like it's a family. And so if you're, 1 second on screen, if you're just an extra, if you just, you know what it's like, you know what I mean? And they're open, and then once you're in, you're freaking in. It's not, there's no more fooling around now. It's, yeah, you choose your friends, but your family, Whoops, too bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, how really did Stargate change your life, though? I mean, I know it wasn't, you weren't doing all these crazy characters and bouncing around like, Dan Payne or Alex Zahar, where they were getting, half the time they got a helmet or prosthetics on and they're playing all these multiple characters.
Multiple characters. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, the stuff that they've gotten to do. I've talked to Dan at length, about the super soldier stuff and the stuff he had to go through. And, he told me about the time they buried him in the sand. He's wearing all this armor and not a time claustrophobic at all. And then they literally buried him in the sand. And
he's not a little guy.
He's Dan. I've got a picture. Dan's a big dude. I mean, he's fit, he's cut, he's ripped, but he's a big dude. And so they bury him in the sand. And plus they got to like clean it up. They got to get rid of all the footprints, and they're up there with, push brooms, and so he's got to lay there buried for a while they're setting everything up. And then I guess he had like a straw in his mouth, and he's literally breathing out of this straw buried in the sand. And then they get everything ready. All right, set, and then somebody runs over and, all right, 1, 2, 3, hold your breath. And they pull the straw out and then action, and then he had to sit up and then let all the sand run out of him and everything. That type of stuff is just, just mentally, I've had to do stuff in the fire department, whether it's, you get into these training rooms, and you've got the full SCBA on, and you're crawling through these man-made tunnels, and you got guys that are hooking wires onto your pack and messing with you and pushing stuff into the way, And you stand back and you watch it, and everybody's laughing, having a good time. But when you're in there and you can only see this much, and your brain messes with it. I mean, the things.
And from having your military experience, you understand that focus, right? And because when you're in there, when you're in that place, and you just like that small, compacted everything, and everyone's fooling around, we're all having fun, you know what I mean? And then as soon as that starts rolling, it's not fun anymore. It's real, right? Or at least it is for me. I'm playing that character, and I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, let's go in there. That's what I live for when it comes to the acting thing. It's like, because you can get so focused into that moment and that thing, and there's magic in it, and that camera doesn't blink, and all of it's getting captured, and it's so easy to get. It's a lovely thing. It's why we all do it, I think.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Flash crossover right now. So we've seen the Flash and we've seen Arrow, and they're going to carry it over to Supergirl and all that. But this crossover, I was watching just some of the acting last night, and just how talented some of these individuals are. And it's just, this is something that most people can't do, and it's, even though it may be a fantasy or a dream, it's crazy the craft that these people are able to harness. And, and I really appreciate you sharing your thing about dyslexia. I met Fonzie.
Yeah, Henry Winkler. He is awesome.
And he was at a con, and actually Tori Higginson was there, and it was a really small con up in the Northeast one time, and it was years ago. But Henry was there, and he was talking, and his parents were German immigrants, and they didn't even speak English, but I guess he had a really rough childhood. He was treated horribly, and he's very candid about it, and he didn't have a lot of love for his parents, and they They used to call him in German. I don't remember the words, but it basically translated to dumb dog. And
yeah, man, it's hard.
he struggled severely with dyslexia. And back then, of course, they wasn't being diagnosed. It wasn't something, and people immediately were coined that they were, dumb or unintelligent, or they couldn't read, or they were slow or whatever. But when he got on,
yes,
yeah, and when he got on Happy Days, he really struggled with reading the scripts, and his talk went on for a while. I sat there just, like, wow,
mesmerized for sure, man.
And he just poured all this out. I mean, he was so open and candid about everything, and he's like, I couldn't read the scripts. I couldn't memorize my lines. I didn't have, and I didn't tell anybody. And so he started the improv, and that's where, and everybody loved it. Everybody was laughing. Everything was great. And he didn't have to do half of his lines. So that was his way to deal with the struggles of I don't know if you want to call it a disease or
it's hard because there's so many labels, right? It's not like look, okay. If I can't read the script right away, right? But I'm gonna and then give me a cold read script and say, okay, which is cold? It means that I've just picked it up. I haven't had even a chance to read it. Well, when I get that, I'm still trying to diagnose what the letters, the shapes are trying to say. So it's all got to get into place. So it takes me about twice as long just to get through one paragraph than it maybe would for someone else. As far as the comprehension, I can read it quickly, right? But there's no comprehension whatsoever, right? I just know blah, 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 blah. Okay, right?
Right,
But,
and you got to understand that context. So what is this about? What are the emotions? And if you can't lock in on certain words, you're going to lose some of that detail.
Right. So what one has to, or at least certainly what I have to do, is I have to lock in on the idea, the through line, right? The what do I initially have to get to, right? And then it's really okay. In a cold read, I can try and give you what's there. I know that 4 of those words are not going to be the right words, but they will have the same intentions. They will be euphemisms of another form, like similes. And that's all I know. And, but I'm not trying to be flippant, and I'm not trying to be, a bad guy. I'm not trying to just say, oh, your script's nothing. I'm just trying to make it a fun part, right? Trying to make it fun that, I might have this thing. And really, the whole time it's a big distraction from me distracting you from finding out that I am dyslexic, that I have what might be deemed a disorder or a disability or whatever, like you said before about being marked as or being, what was it?
A label,
Label, right?
Put a label on it. Is alcoholism a disease? Is it hereditary? Is it, there's so many different approaches to these medical, disabilities, whatever you want to call them.
So when we have those situations, those disabilities for ourselves individually, I mean, I can only come from that place, and I find that I and most of my peers who have this disability as well are labeled as flippant. That maybe we're funny as a defense mechanism, or we're
very similar to what Henry Winkler was doing, because he was using
deflective, so that you don't have to know that I'm not good at this thing, but I'm really good at these things. That's kind of where we are.
You use that improv to deal with, that deflection, so people weren't concentrating on, well, why don't you know your lines?
Yeah. Mr. Who doesn't do his homework and Mr. Who doesn't memorize like everybody else does. All your other acting peers are doing it. Why aren't you? So and we're harder on ourselves. We really are. And I can tell you right now, the one man I reached out to when I found out about my disorder was Dan Payne. And And dude, that guy reached out to me. He opened up his heart and he said, he gave me the greatest kudos. He knows what I've gone through in this town and in this business, and and to maintain that certain amount of unapologetic, I'm still here and I still have these ambitions and I'm still doing it. And and in the case of my situation as well, having kind of had to take a little break with my foot and keep getting back up on the horse and all that stuff. He was a great support. Yeah, I want to pass that on now to to the schools and to places where I can share that as well, because they have solutions to this thing that I thought was like, I'm just trying to figure it all out. I don't know what the words are, and I never really got too anxious about it because I learned how to read when I was really, really young. I just realized that this is my own time, and sometimes it comes off like arrogance, like I don't care. I do. But I gotta be honest, I don't care about how long it takes you. I don't care how long it takes me. So maybe I don't. Maybe I don't care, right? Maybe I care just about this. I'll take the time, the process that it takes for me to do this, and I'll engage in it, and I'll be in it. But you're gonna see a whole 360 degrees of something going on there now. And now I've got it. Everything that we just, I got it. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like now. So. Yeah, maybe it hasn't affected my memory.
I think we're all starting to have some memory issues at this point. I think it comes with the, as my grandfather used to say, you look extinguished.
Extinguished? Or just...
My grandfather used to say, you look extinguished.
I like your grandfather. He was a fireman?
No, actually, he worked on the railroad.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's funny. That's cool. I like to think of it as we're a whole bunch of people who just keep joining the circus. You know what I mean? And it's a great ride. Yeah, to think that Henry Winkler is in the same boat as me and he has to deal with that.
Well, he went on to talk. He started writing children's books that would teach parents on basically what their kids were going through with the dyslexia thing and how to deal with their children and interact with them while battling this.
Yeah, by going to these schools. Like there's this one here in Vancouver. It's called, strangely enough, the James Cameron School for Dyslexia. It's not associated with Jim Cameron, the film director, and I initially thought it was. I offered myself to the school to talk and to share that exact experience, and to them, I mean, they're young grade school kids and whatnot. I'm a real old guy, so they might, but I'm also an actor in TV and film, and so there's a certain, it's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to that, and I never saw that sort of stuff as charity, though. Is it? I don't think it is. I think it's.
No, I think it's more a passion that you have for a situation or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm still learning about it.
You understand it maybe a little bit more than some people, so it becomes more of a passion, I guess. Yeah, and I can tell you right now, as far as that is concerned, is that there's a washing off of all of those slings and arrows, all of those labels that we were given, by helping those young kids and that stuff, that no, I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid, I'm not slow, I'm not, unintelligible, or the words that I misspell and whatnot. They're not done out of callousness or maliceness. They're only done out of the fact that it's difficult for me to communicate in that form. I can talk pretty good. Well, I know how it affects people because even Katie, we ended up getting in the elevator later, and the doors opened, and Henry Winkler was in there with like his handler, and we ended up riding on the elevator, and Katie was like, "Oh, Mr. Winkler, I just want to tell you, I really appreciated your talk." And she's like, "My brother struggled with dyslexia in school and stuff, and he's like, oh, really? So he was all talking to her, and it was something I knew that was heavy on her heart because she saw him struggle, for years in school, and those types of, attacks or labels or being teased, or, I mean, let's face it, kids can be pretty mean, bullying or whatever you want to call it. But it just, she thanked him and was very, and he was so open and honest, and just, I mean, to tell those stories about how his parents abused him, verbally and just treated him like crap, but he still had the drive and the strength to go on to become, Fonzie and all the other things that he's done. I mean,
Waterboy and all those things. I love Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler is an inspiration, and he's great. And that last one he did where the fight, the Bring on the Boom or whatever it was called.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was great in that. It's Henry Winkler's, like I said, a great inspiration. To be in that company as well, the company of people that he was in, like Ron Howard, right, and all of the Winklers, if you will, you know what I mean? Everybody else that was going on there too is just like, wow, right? Happy Days and Shirley and Laverne and then all of the others, whether it was he brought Robin Williams in, you know what I mean? And Robin got his own series from all that stuff, So now Henry wasn't, he was just there during all that time, and wow, to be able to talk to him and find out what's that's pretty cool.
And yeah, I was trying to remember Ron Howard's daughter's name, Bryce.
She's quite an accomplished actress as well.
Already, yeah. I was blanking out. I had to pull it up.
Yeah, I don't know names, right? But yeah, isn't she great? She's a great actress.
Oh, I loved her in Jurassic World. I mean, I thought she was very talented, and to run from a T-Rex in heels, that's talent on its own.
Right? Yeah, and she's quite pretty. Yeah, that's good. That's a good combination, right? That helps.
Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. It's getting a little long, but we'll be back next week with part 3 and finish up our interview with Dean. More talks about Jason Momoa, Joe Flanagan, what's to come for 2020. Got some giveaways to catch up on, but as always, thanks for watching.